In the town of Pendleton, South Carolina, there is a plantation that was home to numerous elite families and is appropriately named for the Cherokee phrase that means river of many fishes. The land known as Ashtabula was granted to Samuel Lofton in 1786. In 1795, Samuel Gassaway was the first to develop the acreage and built a tavern and an inn. After his death in 1823, his wife and son sold the property to the prominent Lewis Ladson Gibbs of Charleston. Gibbs bought Ashtabula, including 380 acres, as he had been diagnosed with consumption and was looking for a place to teach his children the methods of a self-sustaining farm. His wife, Maria, was of the renowned Drayton Hall. She was interested in botany and firm about her children's education, requiring them to produce one new poem each day. To causes still unknown, Maria died in 1826, and 2 years later Lewis would perish from his illness. They left behind their 8 children, ranging from ages 5 to 18, with a half-finished house, 33 slaves, and an enormous amount of debt. Unfortunately, no family member stepped in to fulfill the role as the children's caregiver. The local families periodically sent them food and supplies. Several of the older brothers tried to run the plantation while juggling their own education. After the 3 oldest brothers departed to start their careers, 15-year-old Nathaniel remained as the head of the household. Struggling to maintain the plantation, Nathaniel sold away slaves and acres of the land. In 1837, the Gibbs sold the estate to O.R. Broyles, who paid $1,000 for 123 acres. After purchasing the property, Broyles moved his wife, 10 children, and 23 slaves into the house. O.R. Broyles used the premises to his advantage, as he was an experimental agriculturalist. Through his pursuits, Broyles successfully grew rice in the upcountry, something that had been deemed impossible. According to the book Pendleton Farmer Society, he beat the world record when he grew 110 bushels of rice on 1 acre. In addition, Broyles was a modern thinker who believed in the right of a female to make her own choice in marriage. However, he saw Charleston as extravagant, with the lifestyle being of a strange and perverted taste. His daughter Sarah Ann went to school in Charleston, but her father called her back after a short time. He feared that she would become too urban and pointed out to her that all is not gold that glitters. The Broyles then moved to Anderson in 1851, after Mr. Broyles took the vice president position of the Johnson Female University. In 1851, James Latta bought Ashtabula, along with 1,200 acres. The Latta family lived the quintessential plantation life, with entertaining and wholesale hospitality, coupled with such simplicity, dignity, and refinement. Mr. Latta concentrated more on cattle, enabling him to have only 7 slaves. He brought the Hereford breed from England to be raised on the country land. In addition to his cattle endeavors, Latta enlarged the house and added architectural features like an iron mantel and a back stairwell. After his health took a turn for the worse, the Latta family moved to another home in Pendleton and sold Ashtabula to Robert Adger. In 1861, Robert Adger paid $225,000 in Confederate money, which was valued as $4,000. He bought the house for his daughter, Clarissa, and her husband, O.A. Bowen. On April 30, 1865, a company of Union soldiers rushed into Ashtabula, stealing horses before departing. Clarissa quickly concealed the family's firearms and silver, as she anticipated the soldiers' return. About 20 minutes later, a different group of soldiers stormed Ashtabula and proceeded to hold Dr. Bowen at gunpoint under a large oak tree, while they raided the house. The ordeal lasted 3 hours and ended with no blood being shed. In 1865, the Bowens moved to Charleston, and Clarissa's sister Sally moved into Ashtabula. Sally and her husband William Warren established themselves as highly respected planters, and fashioned Ashtabula into South Carolina's first registered Jersey cattle farm. Warren retained Bowen's former slaves as tenant farmers. Unfortunately, in May of 1865, William was held prisoner as Union soldiers raided Ashtabula again. Afterwards, the couple continued to remain at Ashtabula until Sally died in 1878, and William sold Ashtabula 2 years later. Following the withdrawal of the Warrens, Francis Pelzer bought Ashtabula, using the property to entertain guests and as a summer and weekend home. In addition, he continued to raise Jersey cattle at Ashtabula. He focused on mill towns, establishing nearby Pelzer and 4 other mills along the Saluda River. He sold Ashtabula in 1889 and moved to Charleston. In 1889, John Lindley bought Ashtabula and allowed several family members to live there while he remained in North Anderson. He used Ashtabula's land to cultivate corn and cotton. After passing through the hands of Roger Inglesby, Frederick Sims bought Ashtabula in 1940 in order to preserve what he viewed as an important part of Pendleton's history. He never lived on the site, and following his death, his family sold Ashtabula to the Mead Corporation in 1957. In 1961, the Mead Corporation donated the house and 10 surrounding acres to the Pendleton Historic Foundation, which continues to interpret the previous owners of Ashtabula Plantation and their experiences there to this day.